Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm tired.
And how about we go to the bed and I'll show you how to sleep.
Here we have the bed set up for one player. So all you need is a sheet, a pillow, and then yourself. So you'll lay down, and part of setup is covering yourself in the sheet. And you put your head on the pillow, and then you can go to sleep. Oh, I guess it's time for a review already.
Sorry about the horrible noise. In college, I had
A CD radio, which would play some of my favorite songs to wake up to, and they quickly became my least favorite songs. So I went back to that horrible alarm clock, but that alarm clock helps because, continuing on with Shin's April, we're covering a game called Segment Trix. It's a game by Taiki Shinzawa, and the hook is, as you can see in the background here, the cards will have these digital numbers on them. And over the course of the game, if you want to, you will be placing these bits that can change those numbers into different digital numbers. Amazing concept. Let's go to the table and I'll show you how to play. The deck in Segment Trix is made up of 4 suits numbered 0 through 8. There's 3 normal suits and 1 trump suit. Here we have the game set up for 4 players. So at 4 players, each player is going to get 6 of these kind of segment tokens, and then they're going to get dealt out the deck equally, so they'll have 9 each in hand. At 3 players, you'll take out the 4, the 6, and the 8 of each suit in the deck. Then you'll deal out 8 cards to each player, and then each player will also only get 5 of these chips here. So start player in the first hand is just random, so let's say it's Pokédex here. So they'll look at their hand and they'll play to the trick. Looking at Pokédex's hand here, maybe they decide to lead an 8 blue. Segment Trix is a must-follow game. So looking at the pointer's hand now, they have to play a blue if they have it. So they have the 7 and the 5. Now, if they really want to win this trick, what they can do in this game is they can play either this 7 or this 5 and modify the card to be a higher number. So for this 5, for example, maybe they play this 5 and they really want to win it. So usually if this is a normal trick taker, that's just a 5. But with these segment pieces, they can add it to any of the blank spaces on the card to modify the actual value. So looking at this 5 here, they can place one of their pieces on the empty side there to make that a 9. So now they've actually played a 9 blue. Coming to the pointer hand here, looking at their cards, they have a 9. So what's interesting is the later 9 played wins it. So pointer didn't have to add any segments, and they're now winning the trick. Coming to the WASD, they also could play 2 segments here to build a 9, but maybe they don't want to win this trick, and they'll just play this 3. So the winner of the trick is whoever played the highest trump, but like in this trick, if there's no trump played, then it's just whoever played the highest card last. So pointer would win this trick. And what you do is you pull all the cards together in one trick, and then any of the pieces will be picked up and put onto that trick, because those are also worth points if you hit your bid. After the pointer hand has collected their trick, they play this gray card. And what's interesting about these 6s or 9s is they can be played as either depending on what orientation you have. Because you can flip your card. So 6s are also 9s in this game. So maybe they want to win another trick and they actually play this as a 9. So coming to WASD, they have to follow suit. And they are just going to play that 3. Coming to the Pokédex here, they don't have any of the gray, so they can play off suit. And maybe if they think they're going to win, they might load up this 1 here with a bunch of their segment pieces. So maybe they turn this 1 into a 3. The mouse has to follow suit and play gray, so that means Pokédex wins the trick by playing the highest trump. They'll collect this trick and they'll put these segments on top, just like over there. The reason Pokédex added more chips, even though they were pretty sure they were going to win, is because these wooden chips are worth points if you hit your bid. So, what is your bid? Well, they also have to do with these wooden chips. So everyone starts with 6 at the start of the hand. But at the end of the hand, the number of wooden chips you have left that you didn't use to augment the value of your cards, that's going to be your bid. So, if Pokédex here doesn't spend any more chips and they win exactly 2 more tricks before the end of the round, they'll hit their bid. And a bid is worth the number of tricks you get are 2 points each, and then any of these wooden tokens you win on the tricks you won are worth 1 point each. So, say Pokédex here ended the game with 3 tricks, that'd be 6 points, 7, 8, 9. The tough part in this game is if you're off by 1, so maybe they played it to get that third trick, you get 0 points for a misbid. And if they were actually just off by 1 in the other way, again, 0 points for a misbid. So it's super tough, but you have that flexibility of really being able to play and alter that value every time you play, unless you play an 8, which you can't add any tokens to that. And then 0, you can really only add to the middle. So it's interesting because the cards themselves have limitations on how many tokens you can play. And I'll add a chart right here to show what numbers can turn into what. But what's interesting is the orientation matters a lot. So notice how if you were to add a token to this 2 here, it'd be a backwards 9. So that's not valid. So 2s can actually only become 8s by putting a token here and here. Just like this 0 can only become an 8 by putting a token here. This 3, however, could be an 8 if you put one here, but it could be a 9. At the end of the hand, you'll see who hit their bid, and you'll dole out points that way. If a player got no tricks and didn't bid anything because they spent all of their segment tokens, they'll get 10 points. So then you'll shuffle up the cards, redeal everything out, and you'll play 3 more rounds at 4 players. And if you're playing 3 players, you'll play 5 more rounds for a total of 6. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. So that is segment tricks. And what else can I say besides Taiki Shinzawa's done it again? The man knows how to make amazing trick-taking games. So I think the hook itself, where you're putting these little pieces on the cards, is so well integrated in the game. I love that it is part of the bidding system. Sometimes his bidding can be tough or brutal, and it's interesting that one of the most lenient biddings he's had is because it's a little bit more player controlled, a little bit more tactical as you're playing the game. It reminds me a little bit of Nakosu dice, where in that game you have dice that are part of your hand, and they slowly get played to the game, and the last die that is left is your bid. So similar vibe in this one, where you can kind of gauge how your hand's going while you're playing it. And I love that. I love that sense of control and sometimes push your luck. It's cool because this is almost like another resource in your game, because you have the cards, right? But the cards themselves can only take so many chips. So if you slowly have like a 2 and a 5 in your hand at the end, and you need to play, 4 chips or 5 chips or something, you might be stuck by not being able to play that many chips in your hand. I think a silly situation happened once where I needed to play 1 chip to hit my bid just to slough off a chip, and I only had a 2 left. So I couldn't actually, it looks like a 5, a 2, but I couldn't actually play this chip because the 2 doesn't form a valid number with just 1 chip. So I didn't even think ahead long enough to realize, oh, my chip economy maybe is the right word, that doesn't support the cards in my hand. So it's really interesting that you have to have the forethought of how many chips can go on which cards and balance that in addition to balancing your hand and balancing your bid. You're kind of spinning a lot of plates in this game, and it's so much fun. And a note about the production, I love these wooden chips. They have that kind of nostalgic burnt wood smell. And in classic Shinzawa fashion, the suits make no sense to me once again. So you have these suits here, and sometimes they make sense, like this ladder. Maybe the segments are kind of rungs on a ladder or something. Then you have this telescope, so maybe it's like telescope segments. And then a map, maybe sections of a map, but I'm kind of getting lost. And then a treasure chest. No clue. I need to learn Japanese for the sole reason of talking to this man and having him explain what the suits mean in his game. No other reason. But other than that, yeah, great design. I really enjoyed shooting for 0 bids in this game too. It's I think what a perfect 0 bid should feel. It's nerve-wracking. It's tense. You don't know if you're going to make it. A lot of players can kind of tell what you're doing mid-hand, which is the perfect timing for them to be super suspicious of you. And also because when you place a token on your card, you're just raising the value. So if you're trying to slough off and get no tricks, you have to spend 6 tokens somehow. So you're spending the most tokens and you're upping your hand the most to try to not win any tricks. I love that push and pull. It's such a clever mechanism. It's just so, everything about this game is interconnected. And it has such a nice balance and flow to every part of it. I know sometimes, in Dwa might feel like the bidding is separate from the card play, and you can always be like, oh, I like one or the other. But this, the card play with these tokens is matched to that bidding, and I love that interconnective kind of nature to it. I love that this game allows players to adjust their hands in interesting ways. I think the luck of the draw is kind of inherent in the genre, and I'm fine with it. But it's so cool when games give players these tools that allow them to alter their cards to maybe fit their playstyle or just mitigate luck in interesting ways. I love just whenever players can get more and more agency, and this game does it so well. And that is Segment Tricks, and I love this game so much, and I think it's because bidding trick takers versus non-bidding trick takers is tough. I think I prefer non-bidding trick takers, but when you make it a bidding trick taker where it's a loose bid, where your bid kind of slowly comes into focus, or you can, mid-hand kind of pivot to what your bid should be, that's my jam. I love that so much. So the fact that this does this so well, and it's integrated with kind of the hook of playing your cards and upping the value with those tokens, it just is like, it's perfection. So of course this gets the seal, and I feel bad at this point. I'm giving like every Shinzawa game the seal, but they're just that good. So, and thanks so much for watching.